What is up, everybody? Welcome to another crazy edition of Ghost in the Night, a paranormal and true crime podcast. Tonight we're doing true crime. Travis is going to tell us all about true crime.
It's truly truthful.
I don't think so. This story is not truthful.
It's trutastic. Está cierto en español.
There's a lot of holes in this fucking story.
This is a very Swiss cheesy story.
Yes.
A lot of, we will talk about yellow, what's the word I'm looking for? Fuck my mouth. What's the word I'm looking for?
Not right now.
Yellow journalism.
If you want that, we got to go
We'll get into that later.
We got to go to our OnlyFans account. Not just, we can't do that on
OnlyFans /GITN podcast for exclusive access to the under the desk feet cam.
But tonight we're doing H.H.
Wait
Holmes.
for it. Got to lock it in. It's a me episode.
We're doing H.H. Holmes.
Fuck.
America's Ripper. There is some similarities.
The devil of the white city.
Yes, but you know,
racist.
It's Illinois.
Illinois.
Illinois. There's a lot of shenanigans with this story.
Yeah, and they can't drive for fucking dick.
Yes, we know this. But before we get started, how was your weekend? Did you do anything exciting?
I worked a double on Friday, and then I went back to where I'm dog sitting. That was about that. And then Saturday I was requested off, which does not happen very often.
No, you are a loyal fucking employee.
Yes.
You don't request
to
off.
a fault,
To a
I
fault.
would say. Because as anybody close to us knows, I purchased for my significant other's birthday Moon Unit. Howdly doodly. I get excited when I see names that I'm not used to seeing.
Well, he was here Wednesday.
I know.
For the first time in a while.
Getting used to it. Well, you assumed Moon Unit's gender first off. You fucking pig.
I think we covered this, and when he first came around, we had this whole big thing. We didn't know what. I think Moon Unit is a gentleman.
You are a perfectly symmetrical slice of shit right now.
So
anyway,
if I'm wrong, I'm sorry, Moon Unit, but I believe my memory serves right. We had this conversation with him before.
probably I might have been stoned or drunk.
If I was
We need to do that again. We haven't gotten drunk on the show in a while.
I think Wednesday we're going to do it.
We need to do that for I think we need to do it on a topical episode about aliens or conspiracies. No, we need to get stoned and do an alien conspiracy episode. Look at it like this, bro. Wait, hold on, Mr. Hound. Isn't it our time?
If I'm here
And
and
you're here.
then it's our time.
You want a slice? Fucking but like I said, anybody who knows our abundant wealth of socialism.
We're socialists now. Fuck, I wasn't
Goddamn
aware.
right. Fucking 99999. For my significant other's birthday, I got her some stuff, but the big one was I got
Gave
her
her the big one? Who'd you invite to the bedroom?
right.
Because it wasn't you.
My right arm. But for her big gift, which I could not gift her on her birthday because of the date, was tickets to the Greta Van Fleet show in Cincinnati, which I like Greta Van Fleet. She likes them more than I do. She knows more of their songs. I know some of the choruses, but holy balls, let me tell you, folks, you're hearing it here first from old Travie Longbottom. That was a fucking great show.
I will say this. I'm not very familiar with this band.
Yeah.
But
There's Zeppelin 2022,
right,
basically.
but their name makes them sound like a folk female singer.
Well, I mean, these cats were fucking high school kids when they really started to produce music. Because 3 of them are brothers. They're fucking babies still.
Huh.
But I tell you what, them boys played a hell of a show, a hell of a 2-hour show. And then the Velveteers opened. That was very interesting. It was a 3-piece band, female-led, who she sang and played guitar. And then, a guy on keys, I think, and then I don't know what else he had going on
What
there.
do you mean you think?
I don't know what all he had going on over there. I know he had
think
the sound pads and shit like that, so I don't know what all he had on his little tabletop.
Yes.
But him and the drummer both played drums on technically separate sets, but they shared a hi-hat. So they're both playing the same hi-hat directly next to each other while playing drums in sync. And it was him and then a female drummer, so you thought. In the middle of this show, this 6'3" skinny ass dude that was the female drummer, gets up and takes off this long ass wig and a wig cap and shit, and like tosses them, and then he's like throwing water on the crowd and like pouring it on the drums before they start whacking the fuck out of them. Like goes out there with a snare drum and like holds it over the people, just fucking cracking this snare. Hell of a show for a short set. And then the rival Sons played second. Never heard of them. They played a fucking good show and even had to stop so they could get some security assistance for somebody who I believe was passing out in the front.
Well, your weekend was much better than mine.
Dude, it was a good show. I got some pretty good videos.
Friday
I should have
night-
taken more. I didn't think that the videos would, like the audit, I didn't think the audio would come out as clear as it did, but like it sounds clearer on my phone than it did in person. Because you know those indoor shows, it's just so fucking loud and it has nowhere to go.
Friday night, I had every intention of coming up and visiting you.
Visiting?
Yes, I can speak. Visiting
Words.
you at work. But unfortunately, I got baked. I got baked and started watching Sons of Anarchy. And the next thing I know, it was fucking...
You just stoned as shit,
stoned as shit.
Crying when Opie got killed.
I haven't got that far. I started from the beginning, bitches.
Spoiler alert from 9 years ago, I guess.
I started till 3 o'clock in the morning.
Jesus, fuck.
Well, I didn't start till about 4.
Fair enough.
4 or 5 o'clock. But about 9, 10 o'clock, I said, I don't think it's a good idea if I drive anywhere. I'm just going to sit here in my underwear.
I can't do it, man.
But I forgot how fucking good Sons of Anarchy is.
Oh, yeah, I like Sons.
But also, you know, I'm not a big drug guy. You know, weed's about the only thing I do.
Yeah.
I was watching Sons of Anarchy. I about had a bad fucking trip.
On weed?
On weed.
You sound fucking old right now.
I was like, well, because, you know, some of the subject matter, especially dealing with Opie.
You're just sitting there fucking smoking weed. Talk me down, man.
But dealing with Opie and his struggle.
Yeah.
When he got out of prison that first season and dealing with his wife and trying to leave the life but being like Scarface, they keep pulling you back in. Kind of, I was like, you start relating. Weed makes you connect some dots that shouldn't be connected. And next thing you know, I was going down a bad fucking hole.
It opens up your closed off chakra, and it really picks up those wavelengths.
I was like, I'm the first motherfucker ever to have a bad trip on weed. How is this possible?
Oh, you're not the only one. I know plenty of people that like just didn't have an enjoyable experience
But
getting
also,
stoned.
Watching Sons of Anarchy on weed.
You sound like fucking Jon Stewart from Half Baked. You ever look at the back of a $50 bill on weed, man?
You realize something. Sons of Anarchy is actually a fucking comedy.
Oh, that show, yeah.
It's fucking hilarious.
The darker the show, the more funny it is.
And it has the greatest character of all time.
Who?
Tig is the greatest
I don't
character.
know. The fucking,
He is
the chronic masturbator. Chucky? Is that his name?
Yeah, Chucky.
He's pretty good.
But he's not a full-time character. But Tig,
It was for a couple seasons there once he got into,
makes a
because he
little
didn't come in
appearance
until like the second season.
here and there, and then they get rid of him. He comes back in the...
Then he starts working for him.
Yeah, he comes back. But Tig, he is so beautifully fucked up and so sick and demented. And some of his fucking one-liners
Oh, he should be set on fire as a human being.
fucking hilarious.
Yeah, but as
Just
a human
like
being, he should
when
be set on fire.
I mean, I was stoned as shit, laughing my ass off. A fight breaks out in the clubhouse between guys and girls, and he's dead seriously enough to go against the wall and goes, and that's why I beat hookers. Out of the blue. I just started,
he's pretty
I was
fucked up.
fucking rolling, stoned out of my mind, rolling on the fucking floor. The dog looked at me. She ran from me. She said, fuck it, I'm out of here. All right.
Probably a wise choice. Was there peanut butter?
No, there's no peanut butter involved. She's feeling nervous. There's no chunky. There's only creamy, and she knows creamy means uh-oh.
Don't forget to like and subscribe.
All right.
And at some point, I would love to look at this screen and see some love from my alliance. LOP in the house. Life at a party. We got attacked by Lynn.
How dare them.
I got on this morning and I got leveled to the point that the game fucking relocated me for me.
You got fucked.
Bunch of bitches. I told him in the chat earlier when I got on, I was at work and I think I was taking a poop. And I fucking got on there. I was like, so what the fuck is going on? What did I miss? Who pissed them off? And I didn't really get, and then they were just like, oh, this happened. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to fight their grandma. All of them. Every single one of their grandmas. And if their grandma's dead, I'm digging that bitch up.
I'm pissing on her.
Immortal Kombat.
Yes. All right. We've bullshitted long enough. Let's get into H.H. Holmes.
All right, let's
give the people
thing.
what they want.
Get this keyboard.
And
out
welcome
of my way.
David. David's here also.
This there. So we can put that there.
I can tell you what. I can just get rid of this.
I was gonna say, yeah. I don't even know why we keep that shit. We keep our phones on us if we ever want to comment back.
Yeah.
All right.
Go ahead.
Let me get this.
Break it down.
Let me get organized. Organization is key. Organization is key to success, and some other fucking bullshit business proposition type shit. me. All right. H. Holmes, born Herman Webster Mudgett, was born in Gilmanton, New Hampshire on May 16, 1861, to parents Levi Horton Mudgett and Theodate Page Price.
What was his last name?
Mudgett.
No wonder he turned into a serial killer.
And his mom's name was Theodate or Theodat.
Is that the female version of Theodore? What the fuck?
It's literally
is that all about?
Theodate is how it's spelled.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll go with that.
Phonetically, it's fucked. It's also grammatically fucked. It's just fucked. Anybody that names their daughter Theodate needs to be kicked in the shin until their leg falls off.
Ouch.
Fucking assholes.
They're assholes.
All right. So both his parents were direct descendants of the first English immigrants in that area of the United States. You know, not really, doesn't really add to the story, but why leave it out? Herman was the third born child and had an older sister, Ellen, and an older brother, Arthur, and also had a younger brother and sister named Henry and Mary. Again, doesn't really matter. Still part of the story. His father came from a farming family, and at the time he was working as a farmer, trader, and house painter. Apparently, this was a pretty well-off family overall. Like, they weren't really struggling like a lot of people. You know, it wasn't like that Tiny Tim fucking Tale of Two Cities shit going on too much.
Yeah.
So good for them. That's a plus. So both his parents were also devout Methodists. So they did crystal methamphetamines.
That's not how that works. I don't think.
That's what I read.
I don't think that's historically correct.
Methamphetaminists.
I don't think that's. I think you're drawing some shit, but we'll go with that. I like that version better.
I do too. It makes things for really interesting, I think.
Great. The Methodist Church League is going to be firing off
the Crystal Methodist Church.
We're gonna piss off the drug head, the meth heads, and the fucking Methodists.
They're like, we ain't with them, and we ain't with them. Street war. We just started a gang war between the Crystal Methodist Church and the Crystal Methodist heads.
Oh fuck.
Fucking A. We need to. That's our next shirt. I am a member of the Crystal Methodist Church. I'll wear that shit. So there are reports that he was really intelligent at a young age and showed an interest in the medical field. So because of this, it's also alleged that he would perform makeshift surgical procedures, for lack of a better term, on animals. And there's also been a rumor that he may have been responsible for the death of one of his childhood friends.
May have been.
Mind you, this is the 1860s. So
they didn't have Twitter and Facebook and
Instagram
back then?
I think they had Grindr, but that's about it.
I would know nothing about Grindr.
Like the meat grinder that little kid's hand got caught in back in like 1902.
Oh, yeah.
That was an awful picture.
Oh, I was thinking of a different Grindr. My bad.
The one without an E?
Yes.
The one where you'd find all your late night hookups?
Yep.
Your sneaky links,
yes,
as they call them?
Yes.
Spicy accountants.
Spicy accountants.
Who doesn't love a TikTok channel with a fucking pepper emoji on it? Jesus Christ. Moving on. So attempts were made to fit Holmes into... This is just kind of a little add-in. But there were attempts made to fit Holmes into the patterns seen in modern serial killers, such as torturing animals and abusive upbringing. And I bring this up because of the surgical shit that he attempted to do on animals, supposedly. But eyewitness reports and accounts of his childhood didn't provide proof of any of that. Like, I guess he was a mama's boy and, for all intents and purposes, had a pretty decent, normal childhood. There's a lot of allegations in this story as we move forward.
Okay.
There's a lot of he done it, she done it, but nobody know who actually done it shit going on here. Keep that in mind. So he claimed that he had fantasies about his parents' death, specifically them burning to death after he heard about the Chicago fire. So
that's a little harsh.
We're starting off well. we have clearly a very mentally stable, well-rounded child here.
I don't see a problem thus far.
I mean, fucking everybody thinks the shit's new. Like, no, it's not new. You just fucking, they didn't survive long enough to do the crazy shit like they do now. Just fucking cholera got them, or fucking some shit that doesn't even fucking
it didn't get around
monkeypox. I don't know.
It didn't get around. This news cycle today is so much more.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, we are so much more well-informed. To back then, it'd take a month just to get word across the street.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, because you had to hand off your letters to some guy on a fucking donkey.
Well, they had a telegraph.
That would have died. It was the 1860s.
They had a telegraph at that time, but still, the person reading the telegraph, by the time he goes to tell somebody else, it turns into gossip and turns into, a fish this big to a fish this big.
I mean, that still happens, but
that's the way fucking the shit works.
That's how shit like this always works. It's basically urban. Once you get past a certain point of fucked, it's urban legend to an extent. Even before it's been around long enough to reach legend status.
Right. So God only knows what he actually... He probably killed nobody, and he never even existed.
For when we go off on the sidebars and I forget where I'm at.
Oh.
I always forget about that shit. So, during the course of his childhood, he also said that some older boys had forced him into a doctor's office while it was closed, and there were fresh corpses in the office.
Oh, I thought the story was going to go a completely different way.
Yeah, which caused him at that point to no longer have a fear or apprehension in regards to dead shit, which kind of set him on his course for deciding that he wanted to go to medical school.
Okay.
I mean, if you don't mind dead shit, medical school is a good way for you to go, or mortician school. You make some good money. You wear shitty suits all the time. Just high gas bills and the same speech every day. I'm very sorry for your loss. Come look at this $12,000 box. They're dead, but let's let them be dead in comfort.
Yes, because they care.
Yeah.
They need that.
Because they totally...
I will say... cotton fucking silk
I will say, in my experience with funeral homes, they are at least respectful of the situation.
Yeah, that'd have to be... That'd be the
You
worst.
have to be. Like,
I mean,
everybody's fucking lost somebody. If you're going to be a dick about it and be a fucking money-hungry cunt...
Every day...
I said it.
Every day...
Because there are... I will say that. I defend the use of that word on that one, because there are piece of shit funeral home owners and morticians and shit out there in the world. There's plenty of stories of them. There's one I want to do. I forget what it's called, but it's like the Tri-State Crematory or something. It's fucking crazy, dude.
But just dealing with you're never interacting with your customer base on their best days.
No,
it is the worst
nobody
day
walks
of their
in
life.
like, yes, queen, got my iced coffee, got my croissant.
Let's put this fucker in the ground.
Let's bury this bitch. Like, nobody does that.
No.
Well, I'm sure there are people, but I'm sure those are the people that like, get the fuck out, Eugene.
Right. So you're dealing with people that are in hell.
Yeah.
Emotionally.
Yeah. Dealing with some shit.
Yeah.
You know, their grandma died. They got kicked out of the Crystal Methodist Church. They're fucking...
And they weren't high.
Their dad didn't give them a Butterfinger after he disappeared for a couple hours.
That's just child abuse.
Pieces of shit. Where is the love?
I might have to take that Butterfinger clip and make it a short.
Yeah. And then we just have a short of just me saying Butterfinger every time I say Butterfinger, 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 Butterfinger. That'd take forever. Back to the facts.
Get back facts.
So, speaking of, sorry. Hi, that's a new name. How you doing? How you doing? So,
Christy D.
Yeah. Do you know that?
I do not know Christy D.
Well, howdy, welcome.
And Jenny's here as well.
We say fuck a lot. Be ready for it.
Yes.
So, hearkening back to his high intelligence level as a young child, at 16, he graduated from Phillips Exeter Academy and took teaching jobs in Gilmanton and later in nearby Alton. He married Clara Lovering on July 4th, 1878, America, in Alton. They had their son Robert Lovering Mudgett on
Lovering Mudgett.
It sounds like an insult.
Yes,
like,
you
Lovering Mudgett.
Oh, you.
She said, "You lint liquor." Jesus Christ. So he was born on February 3rd, 1880 in London, New Hampshire. Side note, at least there's some good coming from this story. He would actually go on to become a certified public accountant and serve as city manager for the city of Orlando, Florida.
Huh.
Yeah. Good for him.
At that time,
Nobody fucking cares, but good for you,
fuck
kid.
that much traveling back then.
I know, dude. Like, I feel like just for us to go, like, what, 2 streets over and across the main road to the fucking, the Quickie Mart that's down the street from us, like, it would take us 4 days. One of us would die from consumption. Somebody would get fucking jaundice. The dog would be turned into a fucking fricassee for food because we'd run out of food. We'd lose a goddamn wagon wheel 13 feet outside the front door. We'd have to fucking stop and, like, pillage some old lady's house for cans of creamed corn and, like, you know, just traditionally steal the hot pie off the windowsill while her husband fucking shoots at us and goes, "You goddamn kids!"
But I don't even want to go to Orlando right now because it's what, 13, 14-hour drive from here.
Like and share the video. Subscribe. All that shit.
From here.
Yeah.
That's too much of a fucking...
It's such a boring drive.
Right. But
like, at least when I drove to Minnesota, like, it's pretty.
But can you imagine making that fucking drive?
In, like, a wagon?
Horse and buggy?
Dude.
Fuck you twice.
Like, especially because, like, how exhausting is it to have that fucking, the banter that they used to have? Like, you got to get bored. Eventually, you're going to have to, I don't know if they have, like, a sliding partition. Oh, what's up, Tim? So, I would assume they have a sliding window, like a limousine, you know, because it's classy.
Classy like that.
Yeah. It's electronic somehow. I don't know. It doesn't fucking make any sense.
Got some guy.
Yeah. It's fucking hand. You got a hand crank. And you're just sitting there like, so, Mr. Horse Guy.
Jeeves.
But it's back in the day. So yeah, exactly. You got to be like, "Good day, sir. I see that you are lashing those horses with great zeal and experience. Tell me, when was the last time you got gonorrhea on this trip? I know it's happened, you old dog. Don't lie to me. This is my wife, Elsie. She's blind from syphilis. She was born with it, or so she says. I'm awful itchy."
All right.
Jesus Christ. We're fucking children. So at 18, Holmes enrolled in the University of Vermont in Burlington. For some reason, I have at age 18 again after that. Just double up and make sure you know your fucking info, people. Let's not get this fucked up. I will not be answering these goddamn questions again later. He's fucking 18.
When he went to college.
At age 18. When he was 18.
So he's pretty much average then.
He was not 17 years, 364 days, and 23 hours and 59 minutes. Don't fuck me on this.
I'm not fucking you, period.
Don't you fuck me, Ace. That was an anti-Semitic moment in the movie.
Which
in Casino.
Oh,
he said, "You Jew motherfucker, you." I was like, "God damn, Joe Pesci, chill the fuck out.
Chill out, baby.
You're 4 feet tall. Chill out. You don't see Danny DeVito running around acting like that."
Well, Danny DeVito wasn't actually connected to the mob.
Danny DeVito literally looks like, what was it? Like, he looks like the troll under the bridge. Apparently, he's the nicest guy in the world. Did you ever hear about his story about Matilda?
No.
You remember the movie Matilda?
Yeah, I don't think I've ever
So
seen
that
it.
was that girl's first, like, major acting role.
Uh-huh.
And her mom had, like, awful cancer that whole time and wasn't going to make it. And, like, wasn't even going to make it to the release of the film. And when Danny DeVito found out about it, he snuck into the hospital that she was in with an unfinished copy of the movie so that she could watch her daughter's first movie before she passed away.
Yeah, but he's 4 foot tall. Is it really that hard to sneak in?
He literally stood straight up and walked under the door.
Yes.
Like, he walked under it and did the fucking University of Notre Dame thing.
Play like a champion.
Rudy! So again, at 18 people, remember that. University of Vermont in Burlington, but he was dissatisfied with that school and he left after only 1 year of attending that college. So he was 18, he is now 19. Not gonna fucking say it again. In 1882, he started attending the University of Michigan's Department of Medicine and Surgery, from which he graduated in June of 1884. Fuck that state. I'm not even an Ohio State fan, but, like, fuck that team up north. We don't even say its name.
It's fucking Michigan. Fuck it.
What is it? They have a song. Have you heard the song? I hate Michigan. I hate Michigan. I hate Michigan. Fuck the Wolverines. I was like, that's really creative, guys.
You know what I hate about? I don't hate the state of Michigan or even.
I've only been to Michigan a couple times,
You know
and
what I hate?
remember it being very nice.
And it's the same reason I hate Notre Dame.
Why?
I hate the fucking fans. The fans are assholes.
Yeah, but they're gonna say the same thing about Ohio State fans.
Well, see, I'm the type of motherfucker that can't go to a bar and watch a football game
I can.
because
See, what I'm lucky. I
get
have
so
out of
pissed
state.
off.
I have out of state fandom. I don't really give a fuck.
I get so pissed off when people watch sports on TV at a bar.
They get all riled up.
They get all riled up.
I just love the guys
why'd
that
we
are
do that. I was like,
I just
bitch, you
I-
did not fuck.
I love the guys, one, that don't know the rules and try to bitch about calls, and I also love the guys that are like, Tim, you know this reminds me of, you remember back in 78? I'm telling you, man, we would have gone to state if my foot hadn't have broke not in a game while I was walking down the stairs carrying the books of the guy that actually started the position that I played. Coach would have put me on that field. We would have gone all the way, brother.
Right. I mean,
I could have gone D1. I only weighed 104 pounds, and I was an offensive line, but we could have gone D1.
I do, but whenever somebody says we, I say, bitch, did you go through 2 days in fucking August? Shut the fuck up. Get the fuck out of here. We didn't do shit. You are a drunk sitting at a bar jerking your fucking chain because you have no fucking life. Fuck you twice.
Bengals would be a better place if my leg didn't go out and I was still a running back. You've been in a wheelchair since you were 3.
It was so fucking bad going to a bar during football season. The ex, she could see the fucking wheels just start spinning, and she would just grab my leg and just start squeezing to try to bring me back.
It's so hard to not just end up sitting there like, "Arr!" Like you're making fun of Bobby Boucher.
All right, continue.
All right. So while he was enrolled at the University of Michigan, he worked in the anatomy lab under Professor William James Hurtman, who at the time was chief anatomy instructor. And goddamn, my battery's low. And the two were said to have been engaged in facilitating grave robbing to supply medical cadavers.
Honest work if you can get it.
I mean, Leonardo DiCaprio did it on fucking Gangs of New York. Gotta do what you gotta do.
Does the dead don't care? They're dead.
That's true.
If I get buried, I'm planning on getting cremated. But if I get somebody buries me, puts me in the ground, dig me up, I don't give a fuck. Fuck me in the ass. I don't care. I'm not there.
Goddamn.
I'm not there.
That escalated quickly. Fuck.
I'm not there.
So
It's not me.
Anywho, moving on from fucking Phil in the ass, Holmes apprenticed in New Hampshire under Nahum White. Nahum, Nahum. You fucking take your pick on how you pronounce that fucking shit. Who was a noted advocate of human dissection. That's a thing. And when he was later suspected of murder, he claimed that he was nothing but an insurance fraud and admitted to using cadavers to defraud the insurance companies several times in college.
Just trying to make a little few extra bucks. That's it.
He basically paid his way through college and through those years by disfiguring medical cadavers and using them to fake a death and claim money from insurance companies. He did this several times.
Huh.
Yeah.
That's better than how I paid my way through college. Male stripper.
I was going to say, you didn't? Like,
Male stripper. That's why I didn't graduate.
that makes sense. You're the stripper that comes home with
I was
welts
the-
because they're throwing fucking change.
I was the Chris Farley.
I think you got this, Barney. So, moving on. Housemates of Holmes described a violent relationship between himself and Clara, and in 1884, before his graduation, she moved back to New Hampshire and later wrote that she knew little of what happened to him after that point. Now, Holmes moved to Moores Forks, New York, and shortly after his arrival, rumors began to spread that he had been seen with a little boy who had disappeared afterwards, after being seen with him. Now, he claimed the boy went home to Massachusetts and no investigation took place, and Holmes just left town.
They were so trusting back in the day.
Dude, there's some bang-up fucking police work in this story, let me tell you.
No SUV, Special Victims Unit on this
SUV.
this time.
So, during this time in this place, the wife of a farmer who Holmes was renting a room from got pregnant while he was living in the rented room.
Now we're talking.
He left in the middle of the night without paying his bill. He's a great guy. He's really killing it. He, after all that shit went down in New York, he landed in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, and got a job as a keeper at Norristown State Hospital, but quit just a few days after. Not a fan, I guess. After which, he took a position at a drugstore in Philadelphia. While he was working there, a young boy died after taking medicine that he was purchased at the store. He denied any involvement in that kid's death and immediately left town again.
Just love him and leave him.
I know. What, like, where was ye old ankle monitor when he needed it?
I don't know.
Like, just chain him to a fucking wall. I'm assuming that's what house arrest was back then. Like, they just fucking put a nail through your foot.
Yeah.
Like, you can go as far as you can reach. We left it out of your foot enough so that you can you can pivot on that foot still. Just don't pull too hard. Excuse me. Where was I? There I was. So around this time, Herman Mudgett took the name H.H. Holmes, married Myrta Belknap in 1886, and moved to Chicago and started, quote-unquote, working as an inventor while he was... All of this going on while he was still technically married to Clara.
What kind of bullshit occupation title is that?
That's what I'm saying. Like, what, inventor's a fucking job? Where was that for my career choice? I invent shit in my head all the time.
What do you invent? Nothing yet.
Whatever the fuck. Just give me an idea. Tell me something you have a problem with. That. Where's the invention? Don't know. Still inventing it. You're gonna have to give me 2 to 6 weeks while paying me. See you later, Jim. Get the fuck out of my not office. Get the fuck out of my office. That's my mom's linen closet.
Yes.
So again, all this while he's still married to his first wife, because he married again to a woman named Myrta. Yeah.
These fucking names.
Now, he also claimed that he killed his former medical school classmate, Robert Leacock. Leacock.
Leah has a cock? What?
Yeah, so Robert, we'll go with Leacock.
Leacock.
In 1886. But Leacock died in Watford, Ontario on October 5th, 1889. So that was just a fucking lie.
So we're saying he's full of shit.
Yes. That's going to continue on. Like and share the video and subscribe. We love you. So, over the course of the next handful of years, he also married Georgiana Yoke in 1894 in Denver. We'll just throw that one in there.
If he gets around.
He's married to 3 women at the same time.
That's it. That's punishment in itself.
Right. So when he finally landed in Chicago, and he's kind of sweet-talked his way into working for Elizabeth Holton, the owner of a drugstore in Chicago. He proved to be a hardworking, trustworthy employee, and eventually bought the store from the Holtons. Now, there's this whole fucking story thing about he killed the Holtons, and they were like a lovely old couple, blah, 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 blah. Which leads me to my next one. They say that's where his killing started. Like, officially. With this old couple, the Holtons. Now, that being said, Dr. Holton was also a Michigan alum.
So he had it coming.
And was only a few years older than Holmes. Yeah. The Holtons actually lived well into the 1900s. I think Mrs. Holton died in like 1953 in Inglewood, a suburb of Chicago. They never died. So clearly he never fucking killed them.
So basically, H.H. Holmes is full of shit.
There's a lot. There's a lot. Like I don't look at this story with as much. I don't want to say zeal because like that's kind of fucked up. But like, I look at it differently after really diving into it. Now,
I think he's bullshit.
Well, add on to that sidebar, fucking factotum, whatever the fuck you want to call it. Excuse me. Another alleged future victim, Kate Durkee, was never killed by Holmes and turned out to be very much alive after all was said and done with all of this.
Has this jackass killed anybody?
Probably, eventually. We'll get to that. Excuse me.
I want somebody to die here fucking quick.
Yeah. After purchasing and running the drugstore for himself, Holmes purchased a lot across from the drugstore where construction began in 1887 for a 2-story mixed-use building which included apartments on the second floor and retail spaces, including a new drugstore. Was that your belly?
No, that was my ass.
That was a fart?
No.
I thought you said that was my ass.
No, I sniffed.
Got it.
My nose is running.
So one of Holmes' creditors, John DeBrule, died in the drugstore of apoplexy.
What the fuck is that?
On April 17th, 1890. It's like not having proper care after you have like a stroke or something like that.
Couldn't you just say, okay, died of a stroke?
So that's what I was saying. Like I was reading this information. I'm like, so this guy just had a stroke in the middle of the store after giving H.H. Holmes money, and H.H. Holmes is just sitting there.
Yeah.
Well, ain't that a shame? I just happen to have gone to medical school, and I own a drugstore that we're inside of right now, but I just can't seem to think of anything I could possibly do in this situation. Bye, John. I'll fuck your wife while you're gone. Can I help you? That's the one. That's the part I want to know. Who else was in the store that he was just like,
Next.
Alka-Seltzer, aisle 3.
Next.
Don't mind him. Just step over the body.
Now serving 13.
Just step over the body. It's fine. He's going to be fine. Fucking asshole. So when he declined to pay the architects of the building and also the steel company, which was Etna Iron and Steel, they sued him in 1888. Usually, nothing really after that. I don't know. It's the 1800s. I'm pretty sure when you go to court in the 1800s, it's just like you guys fight about it, and whoever wins wins. But you got to fight like the leprechaun and the Notre Dame logo, because it's 1800s. You're like Tom Cruise in Far and Away.
Yes.
He said, "To the line, gentlemen." It's a fucking good movie. People sleep on that one. Nicole Kidman, fucking Tom Cruise.
Yeah, it was all right. A little long.
What was it, Captain Starlight? He's like, do you know what that means by...
A little long.
Oh, God, yeah. All movies from the mid-90s were too long.
I can only take so much of Tom Cruise. You got me for about
an
hour and 45 minutes.
I will say, though, I can watch The Last Samurai.
I was not a big Last Samurai fan.
I think it's cultural for me.
Yeah.
Like, you put on fucking...
You're a racist bitch.
I'm not racist. I'm just part Japanese. You put samurais on TV, and, like, I instantly, like, sit back in my chair, and, like, my clothes turn into fucking armor, and my eyes get a little smaller, and I just... Oh. Hey, Travis, what are you doing in there? You shut your mouth, brother. I'm watching the history of my people. It's a great honor to see my samurai brethren. They chop down the capitalists. They take down the imperialist swine, even though we were also very imperialistic. Sorry, Korea. My bad.
Sound like Rob Schneider there. My bad.
He said, it never ends because it's a circle. He said, a triangle have a corner. Fuck me. So in 1892, he added a third floor, telling his investors and suppliers he intended to use it as a hotel during the upcoming World's Columbian Exposition. But the hotel portion was never completed. In 1892 as well, the hotel was somewhat completed with 3 stories and a basement and a ground floor that was the actual physical storefront. Moving on a little bit, one of Holmes' early victims was his mistress, Julia Smythe. Smythe was the wife of Ned Connor, who had moved into Holmes's building and began working at his pharmacy's jewelry counter. After Ned found out about Smythe's affair with Holmes, he quit working for him and moved away, leaving Julia and her daughter Pearl behind. Now, Julia gained custody of Pearl and continued living at the hotel and continued her relationship with H.H. Holmes. On Christmas Eve of 1891, Julia and Pearl disappeared.
Wonder where they went.
Dun, dun, dun. They were fucking sitting right on the floor in the middle of the store next to John.
Yeah.
I was like, is that a dead guy? Well, it was. Now it's an accent piece. I move the direction of his head to match the feng shui of the particular month that we're living in. Isn't that right, John? He's still alive, though. He's all like, shut up, John. You are furniture now. So stupid. So, H.H. Holmes later claimed that she died during a botched abortion that he was performing, and that he poisoned Pearl in an attempt to relieve her of the reality of her mother's death. I don't know if I agree with either of those things. One, don't do abortions if you don't know how to do them. Two, don't poison small children, especially, I'm assuming she was adorable. Her name was Pearl. She probably had those like creepy ass blue eyes that like just stare straight into your soul in all those pictures, because you know how they did it back in the day. They were like, oh, it's photo day. Everybody, no emotion whatsoever, and look into the camera as if you're looking through it into the eyes of the devil. That's how every photograph was taken. And it was old cameras, so they're like, skink, now fucking stay there for 30 minutes, god damn it. Don't fuck this up. I had to kill 2 horses and sell them to the glue factory for this. I will not have this fucked up. Bernadette, I don't know, insert fucking old name. So, along with all this, later on, a partial skeleton, possibly that of a child around Pearl's age, was found when excavating Holmes' cellar of the building. Okay,
so maybe we got a 2 body count.
Yeah,
now.
2 + 2 is 4 on this one, as far as I'm concerned. But you never know. Like it was, you know what I'm saying? Like, it could have been there potentially. It's not like they could carbon date these remains that they found. That shit could have been there for a while.
And DNA testing, you know.
Now, and also, are we using excavating loosely? Did they like go down to the cellar and like fucking kick some dirt, and they're like, huh, look at that shit.
Looks like
that looks like bone, doesn't it? Fucking, I don't know. Neville.
Neville.
I'm trying to throw in old Englishy names. Fucking Charles. Excuse me. Move forward to Emmeline Sigrande, who began working in the building in May of 1892 and disappeared that December. Rumors spread that she had gotten pregnant by Holmes and was possibly the victim of another failed abortion that Holmes tried to cover up. Another young woman named Emily Van Tassel, who had worked for Holmes, also mysteriously vanished around this time.
Now, quick question.
7.
No. Has it been well documented that he was doing abortions at this time, or is this just conjecture?
Everything I saw, it just comes up with this shit. But at the same time, in that time period, it wasn't uncommon.
Right.
For people that just had medical know-how to do stuff like this. Especially in this time period, considering the climate religiously and socially. You know what I mean?
Right.
So,
I mean, I would assume, I'm going to go out on this limb and would assume an abortion back in the 1890s is not a safe thing.
Yeah, I mean, it's the 1890s. Like, it was probably like a fucking... What was his name from Mortal Kombat?
We've covered this last week.
Johnny something.
I didn't watch it.
It was like a
shit.
Johnny Cage uppercut into the vagina. And just
I never watched it or played it.
Shitty movie, but still entertaining. Now, move forward a little bit. We get to Benjamin Peitzel. Now, H.H. Holmes met Benjamin Peitzel while working in the Chemical Bank building on Dearborn Street. Peitzel was a carpenter with a criminal past who was exhibiting a coal bin he had invented in that building when they met. Because, you know, usually when you meet people, you're in the same place. At least in the 1890s, at least. Now, Holmes began to use Peitzel as his right-hand man in some criminal activities, more insurance fraud, shit like that. And a district attorney would later describe Peitzel as, quote, Holmes's tool or his creature.
Creature?
Yeah. I don't know. So,
What is this?
I don't know. Kind of hot, I think.
What was, oh, fuck. What was Dracula's sidekick? You know, the human. What was his name?
Like, what do they call it? His familiar? Or
Well, yeah, you know, and Dracula had a.
Oh.
Somebody watched him, looked over him.
Fuck.
What was his name? He's always portrayed as like almost like a hunchback. Yeah.
Fuck.
Igor type shit, you know?
Yeah, but Igor was Frankenstein.
Right.
Fuck, what was his name?
But that's what I'm picturing.
I'm trying to think, because I'm pretty sure Dracula Dead and Loving It had that
Renfield.
character. Yes.
Thank you, Gregory.
Renfield.
Gregory is on it. He is he's taking the researcher spot.
I don't know. It's hard to remember shit. When you do it this way, when you're like, let me focus on one thing for a week at a time.
Yeah.
So in early 1893, former actress Minnie Williams moved to Chicago. Holmes claimed to have met Minnie in an employment office, but it was also rumored that he had met her years earlier in Boston. Yeah. Liar, liar, pants on fire. Shame, shame, I know your name. So he offered her a job at the hotel as his personal stenographer, which she accepted. Holmes persuaded her to transfer the deed to her property in Fort Worth, Texas, to a man named Alexander Bond, which was an alias that Holmes used. So I don't know how the fuck you do this shit. Like, you just fucking convince people, like, hey, you should just sign over your physical property to me.
You have to be a smooth talking son of a bitch.
Right? It happens a lot in history. It's crazy.
H.H. Holmes hung like John Holmes.
Wait, maybe.
Maybe it's the last name Holmes.
Possibly.
I don't know. Have you ever met a Holmes with a small
John
dick?
Holmes is a fucking crackhead piece of shit, too.
Yes.
There's a whole story behind it. There's a whole... Dude, there's like legitimately a whole story, but yeah, there is.
Yeah, we might cover that, John Holmes.
It's crazy.
Of course, I don't know.
I'm just going to fucking upload a picture of that fucking gorilla fist of a dick that he had.
Let's just say the sidebar, that would be a 5-hour podcast.
Just talking about dick.
That'd be a 45-minute podcast that would last 5 hours.
I'd be like, look at the girth on that
with
thing.
all the dick talk.
Girth Brooks over here. So she transferred the deed in 1893 with Holmes serving as the notary, which he later signed over to Peitzel, giving him the alias Benton T. Lyman. Sorry, I don't know if I said that right the first time. Now the two started presenting themselves as husband and wife and rented an apartment in Chicago's Lincoln Park. Minnie's sister Annie came to visit, and in July she wrote to her aunt that she planned to accompany, quote, Brother Harry to Europe.
Brother Harry.
Which it is alleged and possibly factual that he was located in Europe for a while, which is why it always comes up that he may have been Jack the Ripper, but from everything I've read over the last handful of days, he is not.
Didn't they... Don't they...
I lost my pen.
Didn't something come up here in the last couple months that they think they figured out who Jack the Ripper actually was? Well, they'll never.
I saw something about it. Even if they do, I think it was the fucking royal family.
It was the Masons.
Same thing.
Watch your tongue.
So, again, her sister Annie wrote to their aunt saying she was going to accompany Brother Harry to Europe. Fast forward to neither Minnie nor Annie were seen alive after July 5th, 1893.
But let's be honest.
The people just kind of fucking went off to the wayside, if you will, back in the day. It did happen.
15 miles down the road, you might never see
You might as well be dead.
Yeah.
If I can't yell at you, you might as well be dead to me.
I mean, to say just because they didn't see somebody doesn't mean they necessarily died back then. Now with all the
very true.
government tracking and Amazon tracking, I could find you in 2 seconds if I wanted to.
I mean, for us, all you got to do is get on Amazon or like fucking DoorDash or any other pizza delivery thing.
Yes.
Or fucking Little Caesars.
Never seen again is very misleading during this time.
Right. So move forward a little bit more. It was never actually proven, but H.H. Holmes was suspected of 6 other killings of persons who vanished from his quote-unquote castle. What?
Gregory's got jokes. It says, so I guess Annie wasn't okay.
She was hit by...
A smooth criminal.
She was struck by a smooth criminal. No! Let's get professional here.
I got my feet kicked up. I don't
these are the 6 inconclusive disappearances, if you will, from his quote-unquote castle. Dr. Rustler, who had an office there, went missing in 1892. Miss Kitty Kelly, a stenographer for Holmes. It seems like stenographers have bad luck with this guy. She disappeared in 1892. John G. Davis of Greenville, Pennsylvania, who went to visit the 1893 World's Fair and vanished. Henry Walker of Greensburg, Indiana, allegedly insured his life to Holmes for $20,000, wrote his friends and told them that he was working for Holmes in Chicago, went missing November of 1893.
That's always smart.
Right. Yeah, I just met this guy. I'm going to live with him, work with him, and then life insurance in his name. That's how that works.
Oh,
Don't worry about it, guys.
I got some paperwork I need you to sign.
Oh, Jesus Christ. What do we got next? Milford Cole of Baltimore, alleged to have disappeared after receiving a telegram from Holmes to come to Chicago in July 1894. Lucy Burbank's bank book was found in Holmes' quote-unquote castle in 1895, missing and or killed on an unknown date. So those are all alleged. Alleged disappearances and killed deaths
from the
associated with his home.
The murder castle.
Yes.
Now, we covered this. It was 2.5 stories. Third story was never completed, correct?
Yes.
Is what you said.
Kind of. Well, I mean, it was to an extent.
Why in the world is this classified as a castle? Is there a fucking moat?
Well, because mind you, let's go. I don't even have it in my notes because it's just kind of all in my head.
Was it made of stone?
So there was, I think, 62 rooms. I want to say 51 doors. There was allegedly doors that went to, like, open to brick walls, stairs that were in places that just didn't make sense. It was a very Winchester House kind of vibe.
That's what I was just
doors
saying.
that opened into just like a straight drop from the building. There was a chute for bodies, which realistically was just a laundry chute. Let's be honest here. That was very common in those days. There was a dissection room in the basement. There was multiple like room cells that he had set up that were alarmed to alarm him in his living quarters if somebody tried to escape.
Okay.
There was rooms with metal walls and from which was protruding blowgun type apparatuses that would people. There was an
Indiana Jones type shit.
There was an acid bath. Take your pick. There's pretty much anything you could think of in a house of horrors. Now, that being said, we're going to move on because I have somewhat opinion pieces on that later on.
Continue.
All right, thanks.
Get to moving.
So where the fuck did I leave off? So Holmes left Chicago in July of 1894. I keep wanting to say 1980s. And it's fucking my life up. Because insurance companies were trying to prosecute him for arson.
Okay.
And he's a great dude.
He is. Citizen.
Yeah, he was arrested in July of that year and jailed for a short time, charged with selling mortgaged goods in St. Louis, which I believe was horses. Yeah, good guy. Good call. Fucking make that paper, boo-boo. Excuse me. He was quickly bailed out, but while he was in jail, he struck up conversation with a convicted outlaw. He was a train robber, as far as I know, named Marion Hedgepeth, who was serving a 25-year sentence at the time. The two collaborated on a scheme to swindle an insurance company out of $10,000 by taking out a policy on himself and then faking his death. Now, Holmes promised Hedgepeth a $500 commission if he could provide him with the name of a lawyer who could be trusted. He was directed to a St. Louis attorney named Jephthah Howe, who thought the scheme was fucking brilliant and agreed to play the role. He was like, fuck yeah, hell yeah, brother. Praise the Lord and pass the ammunition. Let's do this. So the plan failed when the insurance company got suspicious and refused to pay, and instead of pushing the claim, he concocted a similar plan with Peitzel, Benjamin Peitzel from earlier.
Right.
His little right-hand man.
It's funky.
Yeah. So Peitzel was to fake his own death so his wife could collect a $10,000 life insurance policy, which she would split with Holmes and Howe. You know, the even three-way split of an even amount of money, that usually works out well. Now, the scheme, which was to take place in Philadelphia, called for Peitzel to set himself up as an inventor, under the name...
He's got, or what's his name's got experience at being an inventor.
Yeah, they're killing
walk him
it.
through
They're
it.
fucking crushing it. So the plan called for him to set himself up as an inventor under the name B.F. Perry, and then and be killed and disfigured in a lab explosion. Holmes was to find an appropriate cadaver to play the role of Peitzel. Instead, Holmes killed Peitzel by knocking him unconscious with chloroform and setting his body on fire with the use of benzene. In his confession, Holmes implied Peitzel was still alive after he used the chloroform on him before he set him on fire. However, forensic evidence presented at Holmes's later trial showed chloroform had been administered after Peitzel's death. In quotations, a fact of which the insurance company was unaware, presumably to fake suicide to exonerate Holmes should he be charged with that murder. Now we're ramping it up.
I hope so.
There's blood pumping into the death boner. Death boner.
Hashtag.
So, Holmes collected the insurance payout on the basis of the genuine Peitzel corpse. So, he just kind of got rid of the middleman, figuratively and literally. He then went on to manipulate Peitzel's unsuspecting wife into allowing 3 of her 5 children to be placed in his custody. The oldest daughter and the baby remained with Mrs. Peitzel, and Holmes and the 3 Peitzel children traveled throughout the northern United States and into Canada. Simultaneously, he escorted Mrs. Peitzel along a parallel route, all while using various aliases and lying to Mrs. Peitzel concerning her husband's death, claiming that he was hiding in London. Yeah. He turns into, like, he was a piece of shit the whole time, but like he really turns into a piece of shit with this Peitzel thing. So on top of that, he was lying to her about the true whereabouts of her 3 missing children. In Detroit, just before entering Canada, they were only separated by a few blocks, actually. She didn't know that. She unbeknownst to her, she was right down the street from her kids.
That would be a bite in the ass.
Right? That's how you get your dick chopped off.
That's that time. 3 blocks. Might as well be fucking 3 states over.
Yeah. So in an even ballsier move, Holmes was staying at another location with his wife, who was unaware of this whole thing going on. And he later confessed to murdering Alice and Nellie, 2 of the kids, by forcing them into a large trunk and locking them inside.
Okay.
Now, he drilled a hole in the lid of the trunk and put one end of a hose through the hole, attaching the other end to a gas line to asphyxiate the girls. He then buried their nude bodies in the cellar of his rental house at 16th St. Vincent Street in Toronto.
If you tell me these girls were found living in Cleveland years later, I'm ending this podcast. Fuck, I want somebody to die here.
Hold to find out.
Jesus Christ.
So, we move on to, we start seeing Frank Geyer, who's a Philadelphia city detective. Frank Geyer was assigned to investigate Holmes and find the 3 missing kids, and found the decomposed bodies of the 2 Peitzel girls in the cellar of the Toronto home. And, he wrote, quote, hold on. The deeper we dug, the more horrible the odor became. And when we reached the depth of 3 feet, we discovered what appeared to be the bone of the forearm of a human being. Now, He then went to Indianapolis, where Holmes had rented a cottage. Holmes was reported to have visited a local pharmacy to purchase the drugs which he used to kill young Howard Peitzel. And he was also alleged to have visited a repair shop to sharpen the knives he used to chop up the body before he burned it. Howard Peitzel's teeth and bits of bone were discovered in the Holmes chimney. Ramping it up. Now we get to... that all led to the capture, his arrest, all that shit. So, his murder spree ended when he was arrested in Boston on November 17th, 1894, after being tracked there from Philadelphia by the private Pinkerton National Detective Agency. He was held on an outstanding warrant for horse theft in Texas because the authorities had become more suspicious at this point, and he appeared poised, like ready to just fucking dip on him again.
Yeah.
And leave the country this time in the company of his unsuspecting third wife. Which, as far as I know, he was still married to the other two by this point. Actually, no, I think one did get, somehow legally annulled.
How the fuck did they end up living? The man killed this many people.
Right.
Take out your wife.
Well, the one fucking took off.
She was smart.
He took a girl. So in July 1895, I keep fucking wanting to say 1985, these old fucks. So in July 1895, following the discovery of Alice and Nellie's bodies, the Chicago police and reporters began investigating his building in Inglewood, now locally referred to as the Castle. It was the biggest property in the area. It was the biggest privately owned property in the area.
I think mansion would be a better name than castle.
It's the 1800s.
Yeah,
I don't even know if mansion was a word yet.
They're stupid.
Yeah, exactly.
Ignorant.
Half the people in the world still
thought the earth was flat. Oh.
Yeah. They depended on a book to make the fucking sun come up. Where were I? There I were. So, there was a lot of crazy claims that were made, but no evidence was found that could convict Holmes in Chicago for anything. For anything that happened in Chicago, at least. Like those 6 disappearances, the World's Fair bullshit. Because that was another one. There was a big thing that they said that he used the hotel portion of his building to lure in travelers that were going to the World's Fair. That was bullshit. There's no evidence of that.
You're saying the History Channel has lied to me?
There's no evidence of that. It could have been a thing. It may have been, but there's no evidence that that was a specific motive for him doing what he did with that building. That was a little sidebar. So, fuck, I lost my spot and I lost my pen to mark it. There we go. Shut up. According to Seltzer, stories of torture equipment found in the building are 20th century fiction. This is where we start getting into the opinion here shortly. In October of 1895, he was put on trial for the murder of Benjamin Peitzel and was found guilty and sentenced to death. By that time, it was evident that H.H. Holmes had also murdered the 3 missing Peitzel kids. And then following the conviction, he confessed to 27 murders in Chicago, Indianapolis, and Toronto. Although some people he quote-unquote confessed to murdering were still alive. And 6 attempted murders. He was paid $7,500 by the Hearst newspaper in exchange for his confession, which was quickly found to be mostly bullshit. Which, that doesn't even fucking make sense to me. Why are you going to waste back then, $6,500 is a fuckload of money in the 1890s. A lot of money. You're going to waste $6,500 on what ended up being bullshit on a dude that's been sentenced to death anyway?
Not a good business model.
Yeah. But that shit, back then, money was cash is still king, but it was crazy back then. This goes back to fucking gangs in New York again. When they were hanging those dudes, and he fucking sold his locket to the butcher. Mm-hmm. And I was like, dude, you're about to die. I seriously doubt that that's not corrupt enough that they're not going to give that money to your fucking family. He said, what was it? He said, let it be known, I never raised a hand to that boy. Yeah, bullshit. Okay.
It'd be more oddity back then.
I was gonna say it was the New York City in the early 1800s or some shit, you didn't hit your kid. No, you might not have, but his fucking boss at the goddamn textile mill probably did.
Beating the shit out of him.
Exactly. So while writing his confession in prison, he mentioned how drastically his facial appearance had changed since his imprisonment. Nobody gives a fuck, Henry. Fuck you. And then on May 7th, 1896, he was hanged at Moyamensing Prison, also known as the Philadelphia County Prison. Why the fuck wouldn't you just call it the Philadelphia County Prison instead of Moyamensing? That's a stupid goddamn name. I'm sorry. Call me a dick. That was for the murder of Peitzel. Until the moment he died, he remained calm and amiable, they said, showing very few signs of fear, anxiety, or depression. So he was concerned that grave robbers would steal his body, karma, and he use it for dissection, karma. So his neck, when they hung him, his neck didn't break. He instead strangled to death slowly, twitching for over 15 minutes before being pronounced dead 20 minutes after the trap had been sprung.
Isn't that pretty common, though?
Oh, yeah, it's just like beheadings. Right. Like, they'd have to whack a couple of times. Right. I've heard a story of one, like, this lady was getting beheaded as an execution, and, like, they hit her, and she was still alive enough that, like, she just let out the longest, most, like, heart-wrenching scream while like her head's hanging half off, and I was like, Jesus Christ. But I mean, immurement was a thing. Immurement, whatever the fuck.
What is that?
Being buried alive is a punishment.
Well, that would suck major balls.
But I mean, it's not even just a punishment. Like, it was a right to some people, like the Vestal Virgins. We'll go into that.
You lost me at virgins.
We'll go into that. Don't worry, that's a whole nother episode. Excuse me, thank you, fuck you. Now, after his execution, H.H. Holmes' body was interred in an unmarked grave at Holy Cross Cemetery, a Catholic cemetery in the Philadelphia western suburb of Yeadon, Pennsylvania. Yeadon! On New Year's Eve of 1909, Hedgepeth, excuse me, who had been pardoned for informing on Holmes, was shot and killed by police officer Edward Jaburick during a holdup at a Chicago saloon. Everybody in this is a winner. Then jump forward to March 7th, 1914. The Chicago Tribune reported that with the death of Patrick Quinlan, the former caretaker of the castle, quote, the mysteries of Holmes's castle would remain unexplained. Quinlan had committed suicide by taking strychnine. His body was found in his bedroom with a note that read, quote, I couldn't sleep. That's it.
Let down, but that's okay.
Yeah. Quinlan's surviving relatives claimed he had been, quote, haunted for several months and was suffering from hallucinations. Sure that wasn't the fucking heroin that they were prescribing you because you had a headache?
Was he Methodist?
It was the Crystal Methodist Church. Goddamn pieces of shit. Now, the castle itself was mysteriously gutted by fire in August of 1895.
How convenient.
Yeah. According to a newspaper clipping from the New York Times, 2 men were seen entering the back of the building between 8 and 9 p.m. About half an hour later, they were seen exiting the building and rapidly running away. Following several explosions, the castle went up in flames. Afterwards, investigators found a half-empty gas can underneath the back steps of the building. The building survived the fire and remained in use until it was torn down in 1938. The site is now occupied by the Inglewood branch of the United States Postal Service. They went postal.
Went postal, literally. They were possessed.
Yeah. So the last thing I have here is in 2017, amid allegations, Holmes had in fact escaped execution. Holmes's body was exhumed for testing, led by Janet Mung of the University of Pennsylvania Museum of Archaeology and Anthropology. Due to his coffin being contained in cement,
they weren't fucking around.
I think that was on his behest because of the whole grave robbing thing. Right. Even though, given the history, I'd have been like, fuck you. We're not even burying you, you fuck boy. We're dropping you right on the curb, right outside the fucking medical examiner's office. Up. Come get him, Leonardo DiCaprio.
Ass up.
Yeah. So you go somewhere, park your bike. Jesus Christ. So again, since his coffin was encased in cement, his body was found not to have decomposed normally. Obviously.
Did it decompose less? Because
you would think theoretically, yes.
You would think it'd be more. It would slow down the decomposition.
Yes, theoretically. Which also just, yes. His clothes were perfectly preserved, and his mustache was found to be intact.
Huh.
Still giving mustache rides to the ladies.
Gotta love a man with mustache.
Yeah. So the body was positively identified by his teeth as being H.H. Holmes. He was then reburied. I'd have just fucking thrown him out in the garden and been like, we're gonna have H.H. Holmes peppers this year.
We got a lot of nitrogen flowing.
Now, that is the end of my notes.
I will say, can I say something here?
I mean, this is our venue to say as we please.
This jackass is the lamest serial killer of all time.
Also, a lot of misinformation on that. He's not America's first serial killer.
No, he's not.
I think it was that family we were talking about earlier. Or I think Carl Panzram gets that, I don't know, accolade, if you will.
And I'm sure there was some natives.
Well, I think we should do an episode on Carl Panzram too. That guy, like, I'm not saying I justify some of his actions and killings, but I actually kind of understand them. That guy, his life was fucked. He was riding the rails, literally, like, hobo style, by, like, I think, like 8 or 9. Fill in the blanks of what happened to that kid over the next 10 years of his life.
He got railed. Let's be honest. He got railed.
Yeah.
Pun intended.
Carl Panzram coming to a GITN podcast near you sometime in the future.
Gregory says that he's actually after Holmes.
Panzram was?
Yes.
That doesn't surprise me.
But I'm sure.
Panzram has some fucking. He holds some title. I can't remember what it is. The meanest looking motherfucker in the world. His mugshot looks fucking atrocious. He looks like he'll rip your fucking larynx out through your asshole.
Have you ever seen a good mugshot of anybody?
I don't know. That one of fucking O.J. Simpson smiling like before he went to prison. That shit was kind of funny. I was like, you piece of shit. Of course you're smiling. You're going to prison on fucking selling fake shit after you killed people. I don't give a fuck what anybody says. O.J. did it. And people can be like, that's racist. The fuck it is. I would say 98.5% of the black people that I've known in my life will also say that O.J. fucking did it.
I don't know if he did it. I was not there.
I think he did it. Now, other side of this, all that shit about torture rooms and blowguns in the wall, well, blowgun type shit in the wall, alarms, acid baths, all that shit. From the digging that I did, almost all of that is probably bullshit.
Been played up over the years.
Well, that's where we get back to, like I said earlier at the beginning, this yellow journalism, which is basically just, it's like the Bat Boy found in South America. Like, it's that shit.
National Enquirer shit.
Yes, you take stories and you fucking blow them out of proportion so you can get people to read them.
Kind of like Facebook.
Yeah, from like I've heard that side where everything was nuts and it was the murder castle, and I've heard it was a fucking pretty normal building other than being big as shit and having like rentable units and stuff. Like that set it apart from the buildings around it as personal dwellings, but it wasn't this massively sinister thing.
Gregor asked, we did Albert Fish, didn't we? I know we talked about it.
I almost want to do Albert Fish just on Patreon.
Didn't we mention him in
Yeah.
I think we mentioned. I know we mentioned him.
Yeah, I've kind of thought I kind of have this inkling of making Albert Fish only Patreon because it's exclusively kids.
Oh, that's I know we talked about it.
Yeah, like that. Like I don't mind talking about it, but I don't know if that's what we want to have on our YouTube channel. Maybe like a short video about Albert Fish, but yeah. So from what I've read, most of that shit was bullshit. I even read I forget the name of it. A guy like wrote a book about this, and he even said that over the course of his research, he had already written stuff that he found out probably was not true, and he was probably exacerbating this legend,
right,
or myth, if you will.
This is just a con man.
Yeah,
this guy was just a fucking con man.
I mean, he did kill people. But yeah, he got his rocks off. He got his rocks off on insurance fraud more than anything.
He killed 4 people at most of the same family, right? Basically,
For sure, yes.
even though he was only convicted of 1.
6
Oh, I thought
total.
I thought he was only convicted for the 1.
Oh, of the Peitzel murders?
Yeah,
No, I think he got the 2 kids for sure, or 3 kids. He was accused of 6, claimed 27, and the lore has it that he killed over 200 people.
Moon Unit says he thinks the building had secret doors and rooms.
Well,
Who knows? It's possible.
it was so big,
right,
for that time. You know what I mean? Because it was a personal. It wasn't a business. Well, it was a business, but it wasn't owned by like a bank or anything like that. So it was just massive, and there was doors and stuff like that wouldn't necessarily make sense, but it also wasn't fully completed.
right.
So that is a lot of people's explanation for that side of it.
Excuse our mess. We're under construction.
Well, and then like everybody, like the biggest one is the body chute, and I'm like, yeah, it could be used for a body, but
Trash too.
That's what I'm saying. A lot, most. I don't want to say most, but a very large percentage of multi-story buildings had a trash chute or a laundry chute or both.
And if he had plans to, which he started, make that 3rd floor a hotel, naturally
that would make sense.
Yes.
Yeah, because hotels had laundry chutes and trash chutes up through like the 80s if you went to the right place.
In that time, it just went to the basement where they burned it all.
Yeah,
an incinerator.
Yeah.
They burned trash back in the
day.
day.
Yeah, like I said, even the dude that I can't remember who it is. I wish I could, but even he said that by the time he was done writing his book, like he looked back on some of the evidence that he had found and some of the shit that he had talked about prior to finding some of the evidence that he found, and said that even he, as somebody who extensively went in to try to find the truth in this whole thing multiple times in that book, was probably perpetuating urban myth or urban legend, if you will. Like,
yeah,
he even said, he was like, it wasn't the crazy house of horrors that everybody thinks it was.
Right.
Fucked up shit clearly happened there, but it wasn't like a fucking Saw movie.
Right. I mean, fucked up shit happens in this house, and in 20 years, the legend will be much worse.
Yeah. Well, and then Gregory makes a good point too. He Winchestered the house.
Right.
He did. He had multiple crews, and they would work for so long, and he'd which is my thing of like, because he didn't have the house for that long. What I question is, what was he planning for the house? Because it doesn't seem like he fully got to finish the house ever. You know what I mean? Which could explain this lost in translation thing that we got going on. Like maybe he was going for all this stuff, but he never had the opportunity to. You know what I mean? Like, who knows? And now it's a fucking post office.
Well, I think over time this myth has been built up so much, and plus when you add the he was in London at the time, and you tack on, oh, this guy possibly could be Jack the Ripper. Yeah. Builds up.
Which everything I read is like he's not fucking Jack the Ripper.
Right, but it builds up his myth that much more.
Yeah. It's
a bullshit. This is the stupidest fucking serial killer of all time.
I think it's a testament to the imagination of humans.
Right.
Because do I think that it's all false? No. Do I think that a good portion of the legend of that castle has been fish storied over the years? Yeah, I do. But who knows?
Gregory says apparently the post office is haunted. Sweet.
That's just the weird guy that works in the back that just never goes home.
He's jerking off.
That's the alien that works in the mail sorter, like from Men in Black 2.
Yes.
He said, "Hey, no smoking." So
that was
I think
on TV today.
The second one.
Yeah.
I didn't mind the second one. I thought it was kind of funny when he opened that locker and he was like, "Jay." But yeah, like I do. I think a lot of this was glorified, if you will.
Right. The myth is much bigger than reality.
Yes, glorified in a very macabre way.
I agree. I can't disagree. I mean, he's no Jeffrey Dahmer.
I ate Five Guys way before it was a restaurant.
I mean, if you're going to only kill 3 or 4 people and want to be classified as a serial killer, you better do it in a damn fantastic way.
Well, he did take out some children. That's pretty gnarly.
I can't disagree with that, but I'm just thinking,
Well, and that was the other thing is like his killings, at least the ones that you would think that he committed, were almost a crime of necessity.
Right.
I don't want to say necessity because obviously there's no reason.
Purpose.
Yes. It's not like he was just like, that one.
Yeah. Not because he had some sick, depraved thoughts to kill. He was killing for a fucking reason.
Right.
Kind of like Kuczynski.
Yeah. Whereas he was getting paid for it, H.H. Holmes was taking out the trash, if you will.
Right. And doing a little
insurance. He was tying up loose ends.
Well, so when I think of serial killer, I think of people that are just deranged and they kill for no reason at all.
Well, I mean, we had that argument with the Richard Kuczynski episode. I wouldn't say that Richard Kuczynski is a serial killer.
He's a professional killer.
Yes.
He's a hitman.
He was a hitman. There's a difference.
No, but where Kuczynski got a little weird, because
he did seem to take. He did seem to take pleasure in some of it to an extent.
And when he did, if you listen to him, and he is being honest about this, when he would go just pick up hobos and hookers and kill them, just to practice different ways.
That's where the lines got skewed.
That's more serial killer-ish.
Yeah.
Than. Ooh, maybe we're hunted now.
Fuck you.
Dun dun dun. No, but that's more serial killer-ish than just being paid by the mob to kill somebody.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
I still find that very interesting.
What, Kuczynski?
Yeah. The mob paying a Polish guy to do their dirty work.
Yeah, that's,
He's a big motherfucker, though.
Not a small man.
And honestly, if you just listen to him talk, you would think he was a fucking an East Coast Italian guy. He said, I shot him.
The best part of that interview is when, you're making me mad, right? Or something like that.
He said, what did he say? He said, you annoyed me right there.
Yeah, you annoyed me right there.
He said, what was it? He's like, I don't know. How annoyed are you? Not bad.
So nonchalant.
Dude, I was like, I watched that. When I was watching that documentary, I was like, that motherfucker's about to hop across that table and rip your tongue out and make you lick your own asshole before he surgically reattaches it to your mouth so you can taste it. Gross. Yeah, Murder Inc. That was a thing. I mean, the mob was like that, though. It from an outsider's standpoint, you expect the mob to only work within their culture, but it's. I mean, A, there's people of every culture that will do your dirty work. B, it's kind of smart not to kind of branch out. You know what I mean?
Right.
Especially when you get to a point where you're bringing in people that might maybe immigrated here from another country, so that they're like not even. What is that?
It says Thrasher Pete says, "Hey Travis, tuning in. Thanks for the IG follow back."
No problem, bud. But yeah, like when you bring in, especially a massive cultural difference, like there's a chance that they're just going to go about things differently.
Right, and plus,
it's just like
you would think the mob, would use somebody of a different descent just to try to give a little separation.
Well, because you just clearly see differences. It's just like, what was it? Brohio just had another episode with that Lou Velosi guy,
right?
The ATF agent.
Yeah.
Like, he said it. He was like, he dealt with fucking mob guys. He dealt with outlaw guys. He dealt with street gangs, all kinds of different nationalities. And even he said, he's like, dude, nobody holds a candle to the cartels and the Hispanic gangs.
Oh, they're the most brutal fuckers.
Yeah, like they live on a whole different level of fucking depravity and violence.
You can say what you want about the mob.
They have morals.
They have rules.
Yes.
That they did not.
Like
cross.
if you're 6 years old, you don't have to worry about the mob.
They're not gonna fuck.
If you're you and me, just normal fucking Joes, you don't have to worry about the mob. They're not out there to whack everybody all the time.
Right. To where the cartels,
they don't go after people that aren't in the life. They don't go after women. They're not supposed to go after women or children. And as far as I know,
and for the longest time,
they haven't. I for sure know off the top of my head, I can't think of any time where they have actually the mob has been associated with the death or the assault or anything of a child. Right. Women, I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if that line has been crossed.
To accidentally, probably, I can almost guarantee. But here's the thing about the mob.
Yeah.
They did it for a reason, and they didn't even want. They held off on drugs for the longest time.
Oh yeah, you got in a lot of trouble if you were fucking dealing drugs.
Eventually, greed took over. And
money's always going to win.
But the cartels, they kill and they don't give a rat's ass.
Well, it's just like what are they called? The Zetas, I think.
I
think one of the cartels uses them. Like they're just like Hispanic Mexican special forces or something like that are no longer acquainted with the military or the government, and like they'll send them motherfuckers. Like I think it was like Tucson or Phoenix or something like that. Like they just sent them motherfuckers up there and to get this guy, and they just fucking pulled right in the middle of this intersection in the middle of the day, rolled out full auto, and just dumped on this guy in this car, and just nonchalantly just got back in the car and drove off. Yeah. Like they just don't give a fuck.
Those fuckers you don't want to fuck with.
No.
Nope. They are
negative.
Scary. I don't fear much, but I would.
And it's
drug cartels.
Well, it's crazy because like the people that are there's gangs and shit that are associated with them that aren't even that bad. Like that book I have on the Mexican Mafia, it's a former Mexican Mafia like high-ranking member made this autobiographical book / biography with an author, and like he talks about it. They sent some guys from behind bars because that's how that shit works with those prison gangs. They call shots on the street. Like they sent some guys to take care of some dude or a couple dudes, and they went in there like. Killed the baby, killed the, like, I don't even think the guy was there, or one of them was there. Killed everybody. The wife, the baby, the kids. They did not take kindly to that, and those people that they sent to do that, or they sent to kill the guys that did that, also got dealt with because of that. Like, word got back to the guys in prison, they were like, what the fuck? That's not how we do things. Now that guy's dead.
Right. I mean, if you're going to be a criminal, at least have some character about it, and some...
Well, and I agree. Like there's different levels to it. Like I will look at somebody. I can look at somebody who has a criminal record and shit like that, and if I know that person or I get to know that person, and I can tell like if you have morals and like you have a code that you live by, I can respect that more than somebody that just does whatever the fuck they want to anybody, whoever they can get over on.
In a weird way, that's like getting back to the Iceman, Kuczynski. Yeah. Not that I approve or am in favor, but it was a job. It was a business for him.
Yeah.
And he was, except for maybe there
was definitely a handful that was not business.
Right.
But at the same time, the way he explains it was business adjacent because it was like, I wanted to try this out. Right. So I found a homeless person.
The ones he got paid to do, these weren't necessarily great guys or great people anyway. They had some skeletons in their closet. If you have a hit taken out on you,
it's not for nothing.
You were at least some criminal organization.
You're a dick to somebody.
Adjacent.
Yeah.
Whether it be if you are a witness, but you are still associated with them to a certain point to be able to witness said crimes.
Yeah.
You know. So I understand him a little bit more. Not that I respect him, but I understand, hey, it was a job. He was doing business. To where some of these motherfuckers, and that's where I separate serial killer. They're just doing it to kill.
Yeah.
To fix some mommy issues or whatever.
So where's your head at on Kuczynski?
That's a tough one. I mean,
right?
Yeah. I mean, there's no black or white.
Like, he's a piece of shit,
Right.
But is he? Can we say that we understand his actions more so than like a Ted Bundy?
Probably. Well,
because there was actually, at least to him, there was some deeper meaning to his action.
Like guys like Ted Bundy, Ed Kemper, I consider them
Dahmer,
Ramirez, serial killers because they had something inside them driving them.
Yeah.
Just what it wasn't. Their motive wasn't money,
or even Charles Manson, even though he never was proven to kill anybody.
But he did kill people. But
well, that was always my thing. Is like if Charles Manson wasn't fucking 4 feet tall, for sure. I think if he wasn't such a pussy, he definitely would have been a legitimate serial killer. Even though chances are he probably was.
But he's brilliant. Why kill somebody if you can get somebody to do it?
He's a cult leader.
Get somebody else to do it.
Yeah, he's a cult leader.
Kind of smart, actually.
Yeah, I mean, he wasn't like... That's the fucking scary thing. All these dudes that do the craziest shit are usually pretty smart. I mean, Ted Bundy was a fucking law student.
Oh, yeah. And they say he was a good-looking guy. I don't see it.
I mean, fucking Jeffrey Dahmer was the top of the list. That man made chocolate.
Yes, we love him. We love chocolate here.
Shove it up my ass.
You make chocolate, I love you. I might be able to forgive some eating some corpses, having a few heads in the fucking
I think it was the showering in the shower with the dead body in it for months.
What was the name of the guy in London we covered?
Dennis Nilsson?
Nilsson, yes.
Yeah.
Okay, see, he was fucked up. What's he say?
Is H.H. Holmes ye old Triple H?
Yes.
He had way better facial hair.
Yes.
H.H. Holmes wasn't a bad-looking dude for back in the day either.
I guess. I've only seen a few pictures.
I mean, he had, like, both his eyes and...
But, you know, Bundy, we're going to have to cover Bundy at some point.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
It's a fascinating case.
A horribly mishandled one, too.
Right.
They literally were, like, handed him on a silver platter, and they were like, that nice, good-looking law student? No way. Fucking idiots. Same thing with Ed Kemper. Ed Kemper admitted to killing people, and they were like, "Oh, that's just Big Ed messing with us."
He's just fucking around.
Next thing you know, he's mouth fucking his mom's decapitated head. Literally.
We're not being figurative there.
Not at all.
Literally sticking his pee-pee in his mom's dead fucking mouth after it's been decapitated.
Yes.
We are not kid-friendly here. For those people new. And how we still have all these listeners?
I don't know, because we're about to wrap it up, huh?
We're wrapping. But I think of serial killer as something not quite right with the person. I think the motive has to be much more sinister or internal than just con man doing it, killing for money reasons, insurance fraud and shit like that. Or like Kuklinski, paid killer.
Yeah.
That's just a murderer, in my opinion.
Yeah, he's just a killer.
It's something different.
Yeah. It's just like those dudes that do hits for El Chapo and shit. Like it's just a job to them. Because most of those dudes start, like, have you seen that interview of the guy that, like, has the Joker paint or tattoos on his face and shit?
No.
Dude, he just talks about, like, he was, like, 13 or something like that and, like, got in with the wrong people and they just took him to Mexico. And, like, a dude just, like, put a gun in his hand and he was like, kill him. And that was his first time killing somebody. And he was like, after you do that at that age, what's the problem after that?
It's kind of like that fucks you up. I'm not making a joke. It's like getting fucked in the ass when you're a kid.
Yeah. Like
being raped.
It's all trauma.
It's going to have an effect on you some way.
It's all trauma. Like, and trauma rears its head in ugly ways.
I mean, it does not justify the actions taken later on in life, but
it can help somebody wrap their head around where your fucking mental growth took a fucking left turn.
Yeah, where shit got really dark.
Yeah.
But I've always had this opinion. You can see what you think. I've always said there's a fine line between good, upstanding person and serial killer. It only takes one fucking thing to set somebody off. Or maybe even a series of things, A series of bad
I don't know.
days.
I don't know about serial killer, but I'd say there's a fine line between somebody who has never killed somebody, and there's a fine line between that and somebody who has killed somebody. Because every human being has that one thing that can just fucking snap instantly, and you can easily just you can even black out and come to and be like, oh fuck.
Yeah, but I think life you can take.
Because Jeffrey Dahmer claimed one of those.
Right. I mean, I think
the dude that he caved his chest in.
The sweetest person in the world that you know in your life.
Oh, look at my fat belly hanging out.
It might only take one bad thing happening in life to push them over that edge.
Yeah.
And once you start, you got one or two options. Stop, or maybe you get a taste for it.
Yeah.
You know. I don't know. But I do think
and that is the provocative thought we leave you guys with tonight.
And there is something to nurture versus nature.
Oh, yeah.
But
both of them can lead down the same fucking road if you do if it's executed the wrong way.
And if you have a double whammy of shitty nurture and
shitty nature, you're fucked.
You're more likely to become a Dahmer or a Bundy or a Kemper.
Mm-hmm.
It takes a special person to have shitty nature and nurture and come out on the other end somewhat normal.
Right.
But especially those people have that one. That's just a small fucking push off the edge.
Oh, damn. We haven't been gone for that long.
No,
cool. We knocked this one out pretty quick tonight.
Yeah, we did good tonight.
All right. Hit them with those socials.
All right. Don't forget, if you want to follow us on social media, where the fuck are they? I can't see. Go to Instagram at ghost_night_podcast, Twitter at night_ghost, TikTok at gtin.podcast, Facebook at Ghost in the Night. We do have some shorts done up that will be starting post on YouTube Shorts and TikTok here.
Probably not tonight. Sunday's a fucking dead zone.
Starting tomorrow. I know I'll put one up tomorrow on Instagram. Or not Instagram,
YouTube.
On YouTube. Travis will handle the TikTok and Instagram. And I'm actually going to start putting them on Facebook. I don't think
I've put a couple on Facebook.
I don't think I put. But be on the lookout for those. I'm going to try to do a short or two every night.
It's like I said, you're faster at finishing them. I have no problem sitting there and watching through the episodes to make them. I don't know why we're having this conversation on camera.
Well,
this is some sidebar shit.
It is. Because I was telling them. Don't forget, on Wednesdays, we'll be back for our What the Fuck Wednesday. That is where we just kind of shoot the shit with the people in the live stream. We might have a topic, or have a few topics we want to talk about. Nothing like what we have here. And those are Wednesday at 8 o'clock over on our YouTube channel. Ish. And we also do a after show on that for our Patreon member subscribers.
It's only $2.
So if you want to get a lot of bonus material and get that bonus live stream that's only for the Patreon members, go to patreon.com/GITM podcast and become a subscriber. And you get a bunch of shit. And
before you leave, like the video, share the video, subscribe to the YouTube channel, follow us on social medias like we just talked about, finger pop each other's assholes, and leave us a review on your favorite podcast app.
Yes.
I love the reviews because even though we don't get them anymore, we haven't had a review in months.
I don't think so.
And the last one was not good. It was funny.
I don't remember.
It was another one of those ones where it's like, I like the paranormal podcast, but why the language? Because that's how I fucking talk, Barbara. Like, there's a fucking explicit sign on our podcast. What the fuck did you think you were gonna get? Like, this podcast contains explicit material. Well, gee golly willikers, Mr. Phillip. Let's talk about some stuff today.
All right. So we will be back Wednesday. Join us Wednesday, 8:30 or 8-ish for What the Fuck
Give or
Wednesday.
take
What
day.
the Fuck Wednesday. I don't know what we might just shoot the shit. I might talk more about
do.
Sons of Anarchy.
We spent 20 minutes going over and underrated on fucking musical
I think we're
artists
gonna
on
do that.
Patreon. That shit was fun. I enjoyed that.
I think this Wednesday we should do overrated, underrated TV shows.
I'm down.
So maybe we'll do a half hour or so on that Wednesday for What the Fuck Wednesday.
Yeah, fuck it.
Hey, we do what we want. It's our world.
It's our
fuckers
world.
are just living in it, baby.
Welcome to the poop cult.
All right. We'll see you guys on Wednesday or next Sunday. Whatever. Take care. We love you. Be good. Don't jerk off too hard. If you do, use Vaseline.
Make it bleed.
Good night.
So stupid.